Death in our modern society is a very taboo subject. Many people do not feel comfortable talking about dying, but all know that at some point it will be a reality. This may seem sad, but in a way it's important. Death allows us to reflect on all that we have accomplished throughout our lives. At this point in life, death may seem very scary. Like me, you all have your whole lives ahead of you, but many other people who have lived very full lives welcome death and understand that it is their time to go and for others to take their spot. When people of an older age have been diagnosed with untreatable illnesses, several do not want to go through their last days living in pain or suffering. Many who are given the option to live or have the right to die choose death. This is because many people feel that they would be more comfortable or safer if they chose when they could die. This also gives the patient closure and the understanding and reassurance that they could have the control of their life. Also, this allows for the patient's family or friends to say their goodbyes and not have to wait, knowing that it will happen, but not having a clue when. This makes it easier for everyone and is more comforting to the patient. In source 3, Dr. Atul Gawande, a Stanford-educated surgeon, stated that he would much rather give his patients the choice to die on their own terms than force them to wait until their own natural death, or in some cases, their suicide. Yes, some patients that have been denied the right to euthanasia have taken their own lives. It is not the doctor's decision when or when not a person can die. It is not the decision of the government either. The only being that can make the decision is the one who feels that it's their time to go. If we as people are given the right to speak, the right to vote, the right to live in religion, and even the right to live, why should we not be given the right to die? All citizens of the United States and other countries all over the world grant their citizens these same unalienable rights. Even if a person has a mental disability and asks for euthanasia, why should they be denied it? Are they not human anymore? Is it because they are a little different from you or me? When can one human deem another human incapable of making decisions for themselves? We are all people and all born with the same rights. How is it ethical for people to deny others these rights? All humans are equal and should not only be given the right to live, but the right of choice. And if their choice is to die, then who are you to take that away? Euthanasia should be legalized not only because it ends pain or brings closure, but because it shows how we as a species are advancing and how we can respect the values and choices that other people can make, even if we are not necessarily agreeing with them. This debate argues a human's right of choice in how they live their life. The way somebody lives their life is their decision, not yours to make.
2+. Rebuttal?
So you were saying that for people who are elderly, they're practically about to die from their terminal illness any day, and that's. But I mean, they found that over 45% of people who have gone through physician-assisted suicide are under the age of 65 and aren't really at a point where they're supposed to be accepting death yet. And they found that a lot of them are actually have some sort of clinical depression that can be treated in another way. And they just want to take the easy way out. So it's not, yes, some of them are elderly and some of them are at the point where they're supposed to be accepting death, but a lot of them aren't. And that's really what's important.
Yeah, source 7 shows that some of them are even around the age of like 18, because they're allowed to choose PAS as early as 18. And then also you asked about denying one's right to choose. Yeah, we can deny that if they're in a bad mental state with like depression or something like that. And also there are other factors brought in, such as pressures because of financial reasons, or emotional burden on family members. However, it shouldn't be based on other people's wants or emotions. It should be based on the patient's, and having those other pressures on top of that, it means that they really shouldn't make that choice.
Okay, 1+. Point 2. Con.
Picture in your mind a feeble, old woman lying in a hospital bed. Perhaps it's actually someone you know or care about, like a grandmother or a family friend. She's in pain, yes, but what keeps her wanting to live is the love and support of her family. Recently, however, there's been some cutbacks on the hospital's budget, and the doctor, the man you've entrusted to care for your grandmother until the very end, decides he needs the space for other patients. All it takes is turning off a machine, upping the dosage of a certain drug, and your grandmother's gone. Now, this situation is very possible today, but unlikely. With the legalization of PAS, this kind of abuse will become commonplace. Physician-assisted suicide is simply legalizing a new form of murder. And when we run down this slippery slope, our morality is left far behind us. What slippery slope, you may ask? The slippery slope that will lead to physicians caring less and less about terminally ill patients to save money. Is it so crazy to think that physician-assisted suicide legalized, doctors will begin to take advantage of a law that makes their job that much easier? And it's not just doctors that could abuse this system. Patients' families could as well. When you want Grandpa's life insurance but don't want to wait for him to die in his own terms, simple, you just can sign a paper saying the doctor has permission to end your grandfather's life. The slippery slope that is PAS will desensitize doctors to their patients' lives, and they may even take their own patients' lives just for convenience. Families could euthanize relatives for selfish purposes. I don't know about you, but I love my grandparents, and I wouldn't want to see them placed in a system that allows anyone to legally take their lives from them.
1 minute, 47 seconds, rebuttal.
Please don't bring my grandmother into this, but you're trying to muddle the argument by using emotional pathos, ethos, and tricking the judges into believing your every word. But really, when you say that there's a slippery slope, this term was used in source 2. The author of that source was Ira Byock, who is a physician who says he's against physician-assisted suicide. But in actuality, he practices a sort of slow euthanasia. So instead of letting the patient who wishes to die take a lethal dose of a drug or take capsules to die, he instead advises them with this quote, did you know that you can choose to stop eating and drinking? If you do, I can sedate you so that you remain comfortable. Or if you choose this method of dying, sedation into death, you will die peacefully and without pain. So he is still killing the patients anyways. He's just doing it in 1 week, 2 weeks, instead of a day. When you choose to do it within a short period of time, you're able to do it with your family and achieve closure, which is much better than his method of death. You know what to say.
And you also said that in your last rebuttal that people aren't ready for death when they're 18, but you actually don't know that because you don't know their story. And quote from To Kill a Mockingbird, you never really know a man until you understand things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around it.
Okay, 1 plus, 0.3, pro.
Mr. Grill, are we allowing rebuttals to our rebuttals now? Because I thought that was a rule in the beginning. Okay. Just making sure.
Physician-assisted suicide allows the suffering of the patient to terminate. You had the option between living through the deterioration of your body until you physically and emotionally could not take it anymore, or a calm, peaceful death with closure and loved ones surrounding you. Which would you choose? According to Source 3, Brittany Banyard, a 29-year-old woman with a malignant brain tumor, described her view on the topic of physician-assisted suicide as being able to choose to go with dignity is less terrifying. She began taking lethal medication prescribed by her doctor in Oregon in the year 2014. Brittany knew that she would die from her brain tumor and that it would be an excruciating, dreadful way to go. In order to end her misery and despair, she decided to end her life in a state where she was less distressed, surrounded by loved ones, and the care of certified experts, where she felt safe, protected, and loved. According to Source 4, more than 80% of the public want physician-assisted suicide to be available to them as an option if they should find themselves in circumstances where their lives have become unbearable without hope of remedy. It is inhumane and unjust to allow terminally ill patients to suffer through their death process with friends, families, and loved ones watching close by. Not only are we ending their suffering, but are also letting their loved ones say their goodbyes when the patient still has some cognition, energy, and life in them. No one wants the last image they see of a loved one to be of them in a miserable, negative outlook, barely holding on with their life. Suffering is torturous. Do not allow our fellow peers and loved ones to go through something worse than they already have to. Allow physician-assisted suicide.
1 minute 40 seconds, rebuttal.
So you said that allowing physician-assisted suicide would allow them to go with dignity, but that's not really true. I mean, they're taking the easy way out. They're not fighting through their illness. That's really the dignified way to go in the end. I mean, it's almost like if you were a soldier deserting your company from battle. That's not dignified at all. That's just getting out of whatever you have to do to get through it.
Also, with new technology nowadays, are able to keep patients in comfort with either no or very minimal bearable discomfort and pain. So they're really not suffering all that much.
46 seconds, point 3, Khan.
A key thing that guides those in the medical profession, regardless of specialty, is a set of ethical standards that helps to define the profession. This is the Hippocratic Oath. There are several things about this historic oath which led to physicians being seen as a part of a profession that was respected for its moral standing. One of those was a commitment to doing what was best for the patient. Suicide is a tragedy and sometimes a preventable one at that. The argument against physician-assisted death focuses on the traditional role of the physician and avoiding a severe role conflict by opposing the concept of physician-assisted death. Assisted suicide violates the doctor's Hippocratic Oath in multiple ways. In the oath, it dictates that physicians should not deliberately do harm to their patients and give no deadly medicine to anyone even if asked. Source A. Therefore, euthanasia is against the Hippocratic Oath's spirit and word. Human life doesn't need to be extended by every medical means possible, but a person should never be intentionally killed. Doctors may help their patients to die a dignified death from natural causes, but they should not kill their patients or help them to kill themselves.
1 minute 7 seconds, rebuttal.
Okay, so you're bringing up the Hippocratic Oath, which was written thousands of years ago, actually before a woman could practice medicine. And the Hippocratic Oath has actually been modified and changed before many times. The original Hippocratic Oath stated, "I swear by Apollo the healer, by Asclepius, by Hygieia, by Panacea, and by all the gods and goddesses." That's just how it began. So, as you can see, I don't really think anyone's practicing Greek mythology here, but it also prevented abortion and prevented relationships between doctors and patients. Many of these new medical arenas do not follow the original Hippocratic Oath. According to a 1993 study of 150 U.S. medical schools, only 14% of modern oaths prohibited euthanasia, and only 11% had a covenant with a deity. So, as you can see, the Hippocratic Oath has changed, and over time it's actually allowed, in many cases, for physician-assisted suicide. So this argument is not valid.
Okay, 56 seconds,